Stay curious. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't be too proud. Don't be too big.
I'm going to put that in the show notes. Stay curious, and maybe even title this particular episode Stay Curious. Back again on the Ohio Painting Company podcast. Happy Thursday. If you're listening on another day, happy whatever day it is. Kevin Silliman, Nick Goebel, founders of the Ohio Painting Company, are back on with us, and we're going to be talking a little bit today about some of the things you guys got going on. Summer is dead in our sights. We're looking to the hot stuff. I mean, we've already had hot stuff without any doubt. We're finally getting some relief here in Southeast Ohio. Not sure about your situation over there, but a lot of outside stuff when the warm temperatures come around, and it's probably all, bottled up decisions throughout the fall and winter of last year for these customers. And they're finally coming around. They're saying, all right, let's get this stuff started, get Ohio Painting on the phone. So what are you guys up to?
A lot. Really, actually, at this point,
I was going with, well, I just got back from Montana and I'm about to head to Pennsylvania. Not right.
I'm getting ready to head to Indianapolis for
Yeah.
baseball tournament, and then back up to Indian Lake next weekend for 4th of July. Fireworks over the lake, over the water.
That's beautiful.
It is, that's an experience. Well,
Beautiful part of being the owner, I guess. I was
That's kind of
more
where I was going with that.
right.
Yeah.
I was
digging right into what the guys have got going.
it's not my place. I just like to put my hooks on friends' back, say, "Hey, can I come along?" And they're like, "You're just going to invite yourself?" And I'm like, I mean, why beat around the bush?
Yeah, I am.
Luckily,
Actually,
we're invited. We are invited into some circles, and other ones they say you can stay there, and that's fine. But no, yeah, I mean, business is good. It's busy. Every year fluctuates. This year we're ahead of last year, on nearly all fronts, and customer ratings are still high. There's so much going on right now. It's like, talk to a customer about spraying, and you can get a lot done with spraying in a small period of time, and a lot can get messed up in a short period of time also if you not doing it right. So as far as volume of business and moving pieces, we've got a lot of moving pieces, and a lot could go right really fast and a lot can go wrong really fast. We've been in both of those seats, but right now things are going well and they're moving, and Kevin his schedule's full. I mean, even despite him just coming back from Montana, and that was a cool trip, I'm sure. And that's for him to elaborate on. But anyhow, I mean, it's just a lot going on. Commercial, residential, all the dentials.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff for you. All the dentials are firing away on all cylinders. And I want to talk about cylinders. I want to talk about Indianapolis. You mentioned that, and it just started whirling around all this stuff in my brain. But first, I want to talk about Montana. Kevin, you sent me some incredible footage that I have only yet reviewed, but haven't put together yet. And we'll have to talk about exactly what you want as a finished product with that footage. But what was going on out there? I mean, was that, with the buddies? I mean, I saw a lot of water. I saw a lot of rocky areas. So what was the plan once you got out there?
Well, it's just a masterminds group out of Cincinnati, and that's what we call it anyway. And just a group of guys from there, and then there's another group in that same Oceans program from Atlanta, and they just 2 times a year they get together and go to either Wyoming or Montana, and both of these locations are with a nonprofit called Refuge, and it's where they get together young boys, and they just the boys work there for a minimal amount of money, but everything, they make more money than I do at the end of the month. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
By
I
the
see.
time all the bills are paid, they've got an extra $1,000 or whatever it is, right? I mean, of course, you've got your 401ks, I'm sure that they don't have, and all the things that get set aside, but it's a really good mentorship, and they handle it really well. They dig into you as much as you dig into them. And the way they dig into us is by, at the end of the night, the only thing mandatory there is that you come at 7 o'clock and eat dinner. And that way you can talk at the end of the dinner, about what's going on, and they'll have a question that pops up, and and you just answer the question, and you're good. In fact, one of the questions was, what's one of your biggest fears, right?
Right.
And it had gotten all the way around the table, and I kind of positioned myself in a way where the leader was always first, and then I'd go away from him, right? And that's just the way it was. So I was last, and it got to me, and I said, I mean, my biggest fear, has, I guess, will just continue to be, that I'm just not going to have that growth spurt that I wanted to have.
The natural Kevin joke,
Yeah.
when everybody's trying to talk and be serious.
We got guys crying. We got guys, like really deep.
They're trying to metaphorically plug it into like their circuitry, and they're like, there's probably like a slow set moment, and it's like, you said you weren't going to joke.
Yeah, well,
No, you
I said
need that,
on another
though.
one, but yeah.
You need that, especially since you had the opportunity at the end and you didn't
Yeah.
interrupt somebody's, crazy,
Exactly.
wild story that was going to be following you. That was the perfect time to do something like that. So good
Yeah,
stuff.
'cause you got guys in there that are deep, what I mean? And the guys after them are like, yeah, I got to follow that, I mean, so in fact, that was one of the guys, he said, well, my fear is, that I have to follow that. And sure enough, but no, it was just a really good place to kind of unwind and think about the future and where you're headed that way. But to be around a bunch of business owners, big CEO kind of guys that are, not that I'm a big CEO kind of guy, but I mean,
Vulnerable
but
around those guys, right?
yeah, being vulnerable and letting them know where my fears are and what we're supposed to do, and where we're headed, because we've got some pretty big dreams here. I mean, we've got some pretty big goals that are being fulfilled. I mean, I have to say, I mean, we're, I don't know if it's like really right to say, but we're larger than we've ever been. I mean, our last 12 is running great, and we're very thankful for what we have. And on the same hand, it's very scary. You don't want to make the next wrong move. You want to make the next right step.
Yeah. Yeah, and this you were kind of knocking on a door of quote that I picked up on honestly last week, and it was in another podcast that I edit out of North Carolina, and they said it was about peer groups and how they come together and they can talk, and I mean they're wildly different businesses, all the same service, but wildly different sizes, and they were talking about how even the $100 million per year company is there taking notes when the $1 million guy is talking, because they're still learning despite how successful their business is. They're still picking up facts, what's working, what's not working from the companies that are, 100 times smaller than them. And they said, I mean, that can go through any industry. So that kind of reminded me of that.
Well, I remember one time telling Nick arrogantly that I've forgotten more than he knows, But in that fashion though, those large companies, they forget about the basics sometimes. And whenever those younger companies are talking, it's like, oh gosh, I got to listen to that. I got to keep grounded, and where that's from. And those are great notes to take from, without a doubt. I mean, I don't know that they were taking notes from us, or from me, but I mean, yeah, I was definitely the little guy seemingly,
Right. Yeah, of course. And physically.
Yeah, no,
and physically.
no, it's something we say around here too. Just stay curious. When you're done, it's the worst. Some of the best painters that were naturally talented had limitations because they already knew everything. If we were going to show them a new way, or we were going to explore efficiency, or we told them that their way wasn't right and it didn't look right. It was, there's an alignment and an orientation where, you build credibility through what you've done, and an authority. And at the time, although we had the vision and the systems, it could have gone both ways. Maybe we hadn't built enough authority or credibility with them. The company wasn't the size that it needed to be to get their attention, but ultimately they were stuck. They weren't curious. They were, they did not want to learn or be open to alternative perspectives, possibilities. And so if you don't stay curious, you can't grow. I mean, you just can't. You're going to have a natural limitation. Doesn't matter how well you steward your resources and how blessed you are. You have no awareness for possibility, and honestly, just it's very restrictive. So stay curious. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't be too proud. Don't be too big.
I'm going to put that in the show notes. Stay curious, and maybe even title this particular episode "Stay Curious" because
That'd be the
that's
next
too
hat
good.
that you wear.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Maybe we should, try a different hat every single time. We got to go to more golf outings so I can get that 3 for 30 deal. Did you get that
Yeah,
at this past one?
I got the Olympics, huh?
Nice, nice. Big Mo. We forgot to mention that last week. It said Big Mo on the side of your hat, and we
All
didn't
right.
figure out who that was, but they had a
Just rest in
killer
peace.
deal.
No,
They
yeah,
had a killer deal on
3
those
hats for
hats.
$30.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
And they were-
that golf outing.
Yeah.
They're comfy. I wore it around for a week before Ashley and my kids even addressed me. And they're like,
Mhm.
and Ashley's like, Jack keeps asking like what that new hat's about. She's like, what is that? She's like, is that Brett and the radio? I'm like, that's a water tower. So no, it's not a radio tower. It's a water tower.
I got the water tower one too, but it doesn't say Big Mo on it.
And the significance is it's a waterproof hat that sells for $40. I got it for 10 and it's extremely comfortable. And I like the water tower because I don't know, just it's kind of a curious thing. Somebody might ask me like this, like, why hasn't Jack asked me yet? It's like, oh, he's just beating around the bush. Like, anyhow,
Right.
teach to be curious and confrontational. Anyhow, my kid's ask enough questions, so it's fine. He didn't.
I'm
ask me.
sure. Yeah. Well, the whole hat thing. Like, I only recently fell in love with hats, and especially light colored hats. You said this was the summer of the white hat, and it's just impossible to keep them clean. So you're just always looking for the next white hat. So I got 3 white hats at this golf outing, and like this one, it has Nevada on it. I've never even been to Nevada. I just love that leather patch on top of it, and
Yeah.
some of the verbiage that's on there. And
Well, you've got a
so
full head of hair, so I mean, eventually men grow into hats. But I mean, I'm follically challenged,
true.
so I've always been. It's not a matter. I mean, I'll go bald, but I burn very easily up here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm
I'm still a kid at heart too. That's why I get to wear my hat backwards.
Well, there you go. It looks great. The story that I was talking about with Indianapolis and the start of this event that is coming up around the corner, and there's no way that we're going to be able to make it this year, but it's called the Lemons Rally. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
It's a road rally for extremely terrible, unreliable piece of crap cars.
Recalled cars, like they're all recalled.
No, just old, dilapidated piles of junk, and they just gather them all together. So, do I need a what?
You have to have a title for your car. I mean,
yes. We're still working through that. That's a whole nother conversation. I have to go to court and everything.
Just on this lemon thing. Do you have to have a title?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They have to be road legal, insured, all that kind of stuff. They follow a ton of rules. But we were looking through this, and the rules are intense. They don't tell you how to get to a certain place. They only tell you certain checkpoints, and then you have to figure out how to get there. Starts in Indianapolis and wraps up in Pittsburgh in 3 days. And I was looking through this, and
that sounds like quite the adventure, really.
No, yeah, I know.
Really
it's incredible. And I'm like, okay, I have to go to court. I have to fill out packets and everything like this to get the state to agree to give me a title for this car, because all of the owners have been dead for years. And I have to present my case to get a title for this Mercedes. And then we have to pay an entry fee. And, we got to deck the car out with our, names. I'm wanting to put Ohio stickers on it. We have a team name and all this stuff, a made up number to make it look like a race car. And it's not a race. You can't call it a race. It's an endurance thing. You can't speed.
If they're giving you 3 days, that's
it's all about hitting the checkpoints and getting as many points as you can before you get to Pittsburgh on the 3rd day. And then they total everything up, and obviously the one with the most is the winner. I automatically lose 20 points when I arrive for having a German car. So there's wild points that you can gain or lose. And if you get a speeding ticket, it's minus 100 unless you convince the judges that it's a really, really good story. It's crazy cool how this works. And if it's way far out and you can't drive there, you fly in. There's a rental car division that will go through the route. Like there's so many different little avenues inside of the rules that have little tiny, sub rules underneath of them. Like the whole German car thing. You lose 20 points if it's a German car, but you gain 50 points if it's a German car built in the 70s that's diesel. So there's ways around all this stuff. It's crazy. I want to be a part of it so bad. It happens next month.
Yours isn't diesel, is it?
No, it's not. And it's not pre-80s. It's a 96. But the reason I fell in love with this whole idea of road rallying was what came through Marietta this past Sunday, and that was the great race from Hemmings Motor News. And these cars were unbelievable. And I'll send you a video that I produced. I was with the radio station WMOA throughout the whole day. We were filming, we were broadcasting, talking to people, and these folks started in Kentucky and they had to drive all the way up to Maine with overnight stops along the way. This was 9 days, I think, total. And 2,000 miles. It's crazy. With the cars that you see, some of them from the 30s and 40s and 50s. The cutoff was 1974. It had to be older than that. But just the most incredible spectacle. And I'm hooked on it now. And I want to do it all the time. Just enter these different events with this old Mercedes and see what we can do. See who we can meet.
It's like a comic book version of like the Le Mans, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Lemons, Le Mans.
And
they have that. They
that's
have
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's dude.
Woo!
See, like-
We knew that. Yeah, we do these
That's
things
how
all the time.
Landing the plane. There.
Uh-huh. See, but they have a 24-hour race on a track, which is an actual race, and it's called the 24 Hours of Le Mans, of lemons. So the lemon cars of yesteryear entering these endurance races and rallies are, I need to be in it. I want to be in it so bad. It's too cool.
Pick up an old Peugeot and go over there and lose some
Uh-huh.
points for that. Like the lemon of lemons there, that and a Yugo.
Well, what
Yeah.
if we got like an old ass painter's van?
See, that's what I was thinking. Like we've got some junk out here, right?
Right, yeah,
We
of course.
Throw some. Who even knows? Yeah, I'm sure
Good.
that somebody cut the catalytic converter off of it again, and Oh, well.
I don't think those are required, honestly. I mean, they
Yeah,
give
that's
they
what I'm
give
saying.
points
We
for the
gotta
worst of the
take all those,
worst.
Rumble.
Yeah, too much
We've got-
fun.
We've got to keep posted and get back on that at some point because we could buy an old junk car. 3 days. We could take 3 days off. Friday, Saturday,
Bunch.
Sunday.
Something like that, yeah. You got to
Yeah.
think though. You're starting in Indianapolis and wrapping up in Pittsburgh. Then you got to get back to Dayton. So you might want to have
Yeah,
a navigator and like a crew car.
Well, like
Yeah.
you need 2 bookend days, so it'd be like 5 days, really.
Yeah, I mean, you could get there though. We could get to Indianapolis early in the morning, leave here,
Yeah.
and then we could get back from Pittsburgh to here in what? How many hours? That 5 hours?
I really don't know, but this event is in 1 month from today. So if you,
Well, no, we're not going to do it this
No,
year.
we
Yeah,
just- No, there's plenty of things we're saying no to this year.
yes.
yeah,
We can do
same
it
here.
all. You just can't. No, we can't do it all.
We can't.
How's that go?
Like, I don't know.
You can do it. We can do whatever we want to. Maybe.
Right?
But we
Maybe.
can't do it all.
I want to know so we can get back on topic and then wrap up about your booking schedule at the Ohio Painting Company. How far are things out? When somebody first gets on the phone with you and they say, hey, I want an estimate, I'm sure you get that done relatively quick. But when you give them the start of the job with that date, how far out are we looking here in 2024?
Things are always landing on the schedule, and we got some larger projects landing on the schedule. Right now, we are probably about a month and a half out.
Mm-hmm.
That's with 8 crews, though.
And then with the projects adding on, about 2 months out, potentially right in there. We never really run more than 2 months out. We have a lot of interest and working for us, thankfully. So we will, we'll either divide and build crews and retrain and get more done. 2 months out is about the most that we go, at least at this point. And we just with our systems, we try to stay on top of that. Now, as far as that goes, that's if you line everything up. Some jobs have a projected start date, 3 or that, everything's, landlocked by dates or progress of other trades or, this has got to get done before the painting happens. So you've got those, you have your windows, and then what we have found a sweet spot for us is to have tentative start dates, but due to weather and progress, and if a job is done right, typically running ahead of schedule always sounds good to somebody, but things get added on, things have to be assessed. There's what something looks like when you start a project or when you're quoting it, and then actually getting into it and realizing, oh, well, this needs to be completely resurfaced, or this is a problem area. And you can put paint over anything, doesn't guarantee it's going to stick. Actually, most times it won't. You got to treat it right. So things have a tendency to slow down, even by our projections and our efficiency and everything else. So we do a hard schedule of 2 weeks. Outside of that, everybody else has a tentative start date, and that gives the flexibility of you got family coming in town or graduation party, and it was going to be here, and now it's going to be at this house, so this house has to be done. It gives us flexibility to be able to do that and cater, but also to stay really scheduled, disciplined, and on task as well. So it's taken years to get there, and anything's easy in theory. Execution's where it's hard, but Mike does a great job. Devonna does a great job. I mean, our team, again, we've got a great team.
So on the DIY side of things over here in Churchtown, I'm not going to make you guys drive over here and start painting, but I guess the project that we were talking about that we actually did start, and it's not completely done yet, but it was the wood paneling that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. And call it 70% done. We have one wall left, but it's like the biggest wall, and it's got windows around it. You got to use that strategy and those patterns to make sure you get that paint inside of the cracks on the paneling, and then hit the top, hit the bottom, start rolling. So I mean, it's a really long process that we're making our way through slowly but surely, and so that's that. And I don't really know where else to go with it. I just hope that it gets done really, really fast, because it's a pain.
How much time you have been on the 3 walls so far?
We've been, in and out of the house, working, doing stuff, moving. I moved my office back into this house, and it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, hard to quantify though. I mean, here, there, and everywhere. Yeah,
but you're right about
actually. Will probably go faster and everything else if you've already established your system on the other 2 walls. It's just a matter of setting aside the time and doing it.
You're right about how the look really changes, though. What was you said wainscoting, right? Yeah, it really completely ditched that look of that old fake wood, and
it looks pretty cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're super proud of it, and it was just all that leftover alabaster from the living room. So thumbs up. Yeah.
Any primer?
Primer, yes. We did the mold killing primer on it first. That way it had a good surface. And yeah, I mean, it's working out. It's just taking longer than we thought. But that's where we are with that. And Kevin was warning me earlier about the electrics in my office here. See, this is a house from, I think this was a stop on the Oregon Trail, honestly, but one outlet in every room. I got a window, unit, air conditioner, 2 computers, and 2 monitors all hooked into a power strip running into one outlet. So that's where we are with that. Kevin said, unplug it at night.
That's a Clark Griswold remedy right there.
So
remember that outlet where he plugged in all his Christmas lights is out there in the garage? And
I've seen that movie one time, and I was not impressed with it. Everybody freaks out about it. They're like, oh, it's the best Christmas movie ever. I'm like, you guys haven't seen a real Christmas movie then, I don't think. That's just my personal thing. I'm not into it.
That's all right.
It's the Ohio Painting Company podcast coming to a close here, but we thank you so much for stopping by and hanging with us for a little bit and talking about pretty much everything other than painting. No, we didn't talk about anything at all. It's kind of the beauty of the podcast.
Talked about everything. We talked about staying curious, and then we talked about,
and that's like odd in itself.
The Lemons tour.
Yeah,
that's always good.
It's all good stuff.
No, yeah. See, we need corporate sponsorship too for our Mercedes, so I might be knocking on your door. Well, I got a nice big trunk for an Ohio Painting Company sticker.
Floating all the way through Ohio, huh?
Kevin Silliman, Nick Goebel on the Ohio Painting Company podcast. Thanks for talking about everything, and we'll be talking to you next week sometime. So enjoy yourself.
See you, bud.